Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and recently I was asked in, sort of the wake of the Day of the Doctor, what, in my estimation, is the best ever episode of Doctor Who. And I gotta tell you, that's really like a hard thing to answer. How do you qualify or classify it? If I pick a modern series episode, am I neglecting the classic series? If I pick a classic series story, am I neglecting the modern? Do you do it by doctor, by era, that kind of thing? It's really just hard to pinpoint with hundreds of stories to choose from. You have audios, you have the televised series. You go all the way back to the very first episode. An Unearthly Child was just a wonder in its time, the way it was brought forth and the longevity it has had since. 50 years of just tremendous ups and downs, stories and things like that are all memorable. Just to name a few, Genesis of the Daleks, City of Death, Pyramids of Mars, not to focus on the Fourth Doctor specifically, but he was a great doctor. So, of course, they all have their moments. They all have their ups and downs. And what I would want to do to try to classify an episode as being, a potential for best ever Doctor Who episode would be an episode that has a little bit of everything. Something that has a level of affirmation, as we've seen, in the recent series of Doctor Who, where you just feel good. You're inspired by the end of it. A level of, sort of anxiety and intensity, that kind of thing, action, adventure, maybe being on the edge of your seat with suspense, a mystery going on, something that engages the mind, and definitely an episode that, at least for me, incorporates a little of the alien element as well as a little of the historical element. And recently I actually came into the possession once again of the complete 5th series of Doctor Who, the first ever featuring Matt Smith's 11th Doctor, and of course Amy Pond. And once I was able to get this back into my hands, it was gifted to me. My sister and I went on a marathon to watch all those episodes. She had never seen them, or at least had seen them peripherally when I first watched them, and I'd only ever seen each of those episodes one time. So I largely forgot about a lot of those episodes. And in watching them over again, I came to the episode Vincent and the Doctor, talking about the artist, painter Vincent van Gogh, or Van Gogh, however you prefer to, pronounce it. They pronounce it in the episode Van Gogh, which always sounded kind of strange to me. But of course, it starts off in this sort of museum of art and everything like that, and the Doctor takes Amy back in time to meet Vincent, who is this man who has sort of, psychological trauma and issues, and he's an outcast in his particular era, sort of, an unnamed genius, if you will. And it's just tragic because he's seeing this beast that exists and everyone just thinks it's part of his throes of madness. But in fact, the Doctor uncovers there's more to it. And without giving away the whole story, it ends in a way that literally made me cry. And I don't just mean getting misty-eyed. I was crying by the end of it. And Doctor Who does that. Doctor Who gives you stories that can make you very misty-eyed, very emotional. Going all the way back to the classic series with, the Dalek invasion of Earth, when the Doctor chose to leave his granddaughter Susan behind, let her grow up and blossom into a young woman in love and everything, to, the modern series, when the 9th Doctor regenerated. I was really bummed out about that. I got misty-eyed. When Billie Piper's Rose Tyler first got trapped, in Doomsday, or whatever the episode was called, in that alternate universe, and she was bawling her eyes out to gasp her, love for the Doctor and everything, and he was about to seemingly reciprocate, and then he faded away and could never see her again until she cropped up again. It is science fiction after all, but, many moments have stood out as being just emotional. When Donna Noble got to the end of her tenure with the Doctor and she had to be reverted, losing all of those great sort of, evolutionary parts of her mind, it gets to you, and that's what I love about Doctor Who, the action, the adventure, the timey-wimey space travel and travel in history. And Vincent and the Doctor, again, it was one that just struck a chord so deep, it was unexpected to me. And I would probably nominate that particular episode as being, if not the best ever episode of Doctor Who, definitely a top 10 contender for that, sort of placement, because it really did have a little bit of everything. It had that sense of affirmation by the end when the Doctor brings Vincent to the future to see the Museum of Art and talk to Bill Nighy, in a very awesome guest starring role as the curator of that particular museum, about the history of Van Gogh, and because of the emotional impact it had, and all of those elements being present, the mystery of this beast he can only see, the very sort of period piece setting and everything like that, the aspect of art being such an important role in the story, it had a little bit of everything, and for that, for me, that's my answer. That would be how I would answer that question. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you're able to post what your nominations for best ever episode of Doctor Who might be. The Doctor's wife definitely takes a top contender role as well. That was always my answer until I saw this one again, Vincent and the Doctor. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you what your estimations are on that whole sort of query. Otherwise, that'll be it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you later. Peace.